So, hello everyone, and welcome back to STW Sports. And today I'm joined by Wycombe Wanderers fan Simon Rylander. Well, Simon, welcome to the show. And first question I'm going to ask you is, how are you feeling about Wycombe's chances going into the new League One season?
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Very optimistic, actually. We've obviously just come down from the Championship, having missed out on staying in the Championship at one point. And we've kept the core of our players, which is good. The backbone, if you like. And we've signed 6 new players in the off season, including Sam Vokes from Stoke and defender from Chelsea and all sorts. So very, very optimistic. I think I would be optimistic anyway if we hadn't made any significant signing. But obviously Sam Vokes is a significant signing. But I think it still would because it's the old cliche, isn't it? You come down from the upper league and you're always favourites to go straight back up in the lower leagues. But I think we would anyway, just because, like I say, the backbone of the team is good. There's good atmosphere in the club. We've got financially, I don't know about secure because obviously I'm not within the club, but we know what we're doing. We're not going to make any kind of, Derby County or Sheffield Wednesday mistakes or anything. Things are looking very rosy, very rosy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously last season, one thing you say Wycombe have come down with is a lot of momentum. I mean, really good end to the season. If the season had carried on a couple of weeks, you probably would have stayed up in truth. So, the fight they put up at the end of the season, how proud did that make you as a Wycombe fan?
Very proud, obviously. It's something it's almost kind of frustrating in a way to lose out by 1 point. But when you consider the whole of the season, I think we've learned a lot of lessons that started to pay off towards the end there. We started off the season with the same kind of tactics and setup as League One, really, because obviously that's what we know. And it just didn't work. It just didn't work at all. Having said that, I think we only really got soundly beaten 3 times, I think, in the whole of the season. I think Blackburn was away at Blackburn was 5-0, that kind of thing. When you look at the other teams that we ran close in the first half of the season, where they would equalise or score a winner in the 92nd minute, that kind of thing. Look at Norwich. Norwich was one of those, and look at those teams now. So we always had that kind of, we are just that close. Do you know what I mean? And then the second half of the season, things started to change around. Gareth Ainsworth was learning a lot of lessons, and Richard Dobson is assistant, and it started to pay off. We culminating, of course, in Wycombe coming up here to the Middlesbrough and thrashing them 3-0, which was a fantastic game. And that really kind of summed it up, I guess, for us. And like you say, a couple of warmer weeks, and it's hard to guarantee, obviously, but I feel confident we would have stayed up.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, very much to be proud of. And you touched on it a little bit earlier about Sam Vokes. What do you make of that signing? A very good signing, especially for League One. Do you think, obviously, if he were to hit the ground running and score a lot of goals, that could be a huge catalyst for your promotion push?
Yes, absolutely. I think without Sam Vokes, being an optimist myself, I was already predicting an automatic promotion, finishing in the top 2. But with Sam Vokes, it just gives us a huge, percentage advantage as well. Everybody knows about the beast at Abayo Akinfenwa, but he doesn't really work for the Championship. He works well enough for League One. But now it's a case of we can afford to say, let's put the beast on when we're 2-0 up, say, with 20 minutes to go, and he can be that holding player that can create those half chances. Because now our priority is going to be we've got Vokes up front, we've got Salai Kaikai, who's an extremely fast player, got him from Blackpool. We've got Gareth McCleary, who has hit the ground running last season, extremely creative player. So we've now all of a sudden we've got 3 spearheading the front line that look absolutely amazing. And yeah, it's incredible. I mean, Sam Vokes is incredible. I think he's what is he? Just one or two off scoring 100 goals for his country, and it's just a fantastic player. And it was unveiled when we beat Leicester City in the pre-season the other day. The FA Cup holders, Leicester City. We beat them, and yeah, he was unveiled just before the match in like the worst kept secret in the world. Everybody knew in the hours before on social media. But it's great. It's great. It just lifts everything, doesn't it? When you get a signing like that, a marquee signing, as they call it, it just lifts everybody. Great.
Yeah, I want to mention about pre-season. 3 wins out of 3 for Wycombe. Obviously, I know you ended the season really well, and it seems like you've taken a bit of that into pre-season. And I know people will say it's only pre-season and results don't really matter, but whenever you're winning game, it's only going to do the team's confidence good. And like you say, beating a team like Leicester, how much of it that could even play a part going to the new season.
Yes, absolutely. I think pre-season is so important. Like you say, not for the results point of view, but when you lose the players that we had, Josh Knight, for example, which we got from Leicester for last season, we had him on loan at the beginning of last season, and again, financially and from a business point of view and a transfer point of view, we're very good behind the scenes at what we do. So we managed to extend that loan at Christmas to the end of the season for Josh Knight. And that's just one of a typical few loan signings that performed really, really, really well for us last season, especially during the second half of the season. And so, but we lost them because obviously it's loans, isn't it? So they've got to go back. And the pre-season is there for the new players to come in and introduce them almost to the structure of Wycombe and how we play and what we expect from them and what they expect from us. So it's so important. And obviously with COVID and everything, everybody's pre-season games I think have been a bit curtailed, haven't they? I think we'd have liked to certainly have played a couple more, but I think everybody would. I think it goes the same for everybody, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I think, like you say, there has been issues with COVID, but hopefully that doesn't affect the start of the new season. And I'm going to take a bit of a trip down memory lane now, and I want to take you back to the 2020 League One playoff final against Oxford. Please describe that day. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, fans weren't able to go in because of the pandemic, but even so, what a day in Wycombe Wanderers history that was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had in our history a few days like that at Wembley. Going back to the very, very early days of the year. Things like FA Trophy finals that we've won, when I was a much younger lad, and FA Cup semi-finals against Liverpool, and quarterfinals against Aston Villa, and that kind of thing. So we're kind of no stranger to it, but the old feeling came back of being there, and even though we weren't allowed to be there, it just felt good. So there's never any doubt in my mind, and a lot of other fans. Looking at the social media page, there's never any doubt that we would win. Absolutely none. By hook or by crook, we're going to win. And of course, it's a local derby, technically, with Oxford. So 100% knew we were going up as soon as before we even started the game. 100%.
Yeah, no, we'll say what a fantastic day. And obviously one man I want to talk about as well, pretty much Mr. Wycombe Wanderers at this point, Gareth Ainsworth. It's fair to say you've been through a lot with Ainsworth, very nearly relegated to the National League in 2014. But since then, obviously a couple of promotions and just generally a hell of a ride. What's it like to have been a Wycombe fan, under his stewardship and just in general in the past decade?
Every single interview Gareth does, he says more or less the same thing. How proud he is of the boys in the team, and whether we lose or whether we win, and he speaks a lot about the family atmosphere at Wycombe, and he's been like that since day one. It's what attracted him to progress from being a player to becoming a manager, and he could have gone anywhere. And in fact, last season he still could have gone anywhere. I know he's been touted for manager positions a lot further up the championship. But again, it's been the reason he stayed and the reason he enjoys his job and the reason he's so good at it is because, like you said, he's proud of everybody. He never singles himself out as a great manager or anything like that. And it's an example watching that over the years, because he is the longest serving manager now, I think, in any league. It's been great, you know, and you've probably seen him yourself. I think most people have seen himself, you know, when he's on the touchline. I think the leather jacket might have been resigned now, but he still jumps up and heads every ball along with his team and kicks every ball. And that has an effect, you know, not just on the players, but also the fans as well. You know, I know it's an old cliche, but it gives us that eternally optimistic, never say die attitude that he has. And it's infectious. It's infectious. You know, it's just fantastic. I remember seeing him the last day of last season. I went to the Riverside Stadium and saw him getting off the coach, and he's just jumped off the coach, you know, jumping about, ready to go. It's pouring down with rain. There's no fans. Miserable day in Teesside. And he's just jumps off the coach, ready to go at it. And, you know, it has an effect. We won 3-0. That's what it's like. We have that every single week. It's just a relief, you know, especially when I look around at other teams and, you know, certain managers are in a spotlight lately, and just look at the way they carry themselves and what they talk about. Nothing bad as such, but they speak in all the cliches. They say the same things every week, speaking in that monotone, and just it's, you know, Gareth doesn't do that. He addresses any issues that need to be addressed, and he talks about them openly and honestly, and pledges every interview he gives to be better the next time. You can't ask for more from the manager.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, certainly a legend at the club at this point, and obviously been there nearly a decade, the longest serving manager in the Football League. So full credit to him, obviously, for what he's done at the club, and what a ride Wycombe fans have been on, as I said. And as for players, though, do you have a favourite player in your lifetime with Wycombe Wanderers?
Yeah, I've had a few players over the years. I suppose most recently, Gareth McCleary. I mentioned him earlier. He's got everything. He's big. He's a unit. You know what I mean? But also he's light on his feet. He can, you know, swagger the hips and just go past 2 or 3 players in a couple of seconds. And he's very creative as well. His, you know, the final ball into the box is pretty much perfect every single time. And he's got an eye for goal. He's an ideal forward midfielder, if you like. I mentioned earlier, I'd like to see him up front with Vokes and Kai, who are new signings. And he's just incredible. He's definitely one of those players that, you know, if you're in the stands and he gets the ball, you're out of your seat. As soon as he gets the ball, you're out of your seat, you know. And I just hope we hold on to him. I really do.
Yeah, no, that's a fair one. And building up now to the first game of the season, which takes place on Saturday against Accrington Stanley. How are you feeling going into that game? Are you confident?
Accrington Stanley, who are they? Yes, very confident. It's strange looking at League One, because you look at all the teams that are in there, and it's going to be no easy task. You know, it's not guaranteed that we're going to go win every game and go back up. In fact, I fully expect us obviously not to win every game. But I don't know, with the first game of the season, it's always difficult, isn't it? Because everybody's on the same level playing field. Everybody wants to create that first, you know, impression. And the only advantage you can have on the first day of the season is to be at home. So, you know, we've got that. So I'm confident we'll win. Look at our defence. The defence is notoriously stingy. I think we'll win 2-0. I think we're a solid 2-0. Yeah, Accrington Stanley, I think they were hit and miss last season. So hopefully for their point, it'll be a miss on the first game of the season.
Yeah, and final question for you. Prediction on where you think Wycombe Wanderers will finish come the end of the season?
Automatic promotion, first or second.
Fair enough, like your optimism there, Simon. But yeah, we say Wycombe a lot of momentum right now, and if they start well, then I think, you know, then they very, very much could go on. But that's all we've got time for anyway, Simon. But thank you very much for joining me, and good luck to Wycombe Wanderers in the coming season.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you.